So this week I'm going to talk about. I've been putting this off because I didn't want to be online, and then I started getting down because I wasn't going online and putting things off. So I thought I better do this, even though it's kind of it's, as usual, it's winging it. But this week I'm going to think. I was thinking about how suddenly I get these urges to find a certain piece of music, like Roisin Murphy. I thought it was strange that she had just uploaded Narcissist the day before, and then I came across it. Now, at first, I was just going through, the random YouTube kind of algorithms, and then I saw below. I looked a little bit down, and I saw Maloko, and I was like, I looked at it, and it was from some live show she'd done in a summer festival, and Roisin had done in the summer festival, and it looked interesting, but it looked a little bit out there, and I thought, I wonder what else she's done because she looks pretty something that I want to follow through and see what she gets up to because I like these women that are have have a whole way of being. They sing and they put a lot of emphasis into. They put a lot of their personality into it. It can look um, strange to some people, I suppose, but it's really for me. It's really artistic. I mean, um, she just had this way that wasn't typical. It wasn't really provocative. It looked intelligent. It looked uh, really creative. Her hairstyling and the way she was moving, the fabrics she was wearing were all intrigued me. Uh, she looked interesting as a person, and so I wanted to follow through with that because those are the kind of people that I think, for me, are the most interesting because they're not in it just for the commercial success, and that's when you get the most interesting kind of um, performances. So I look down the YouTube. I find her in the YouTube algorithm, Maloko in the YouTube algorithm. Then I find her interesting, but too much, maybe not developed enough. And then I went further and saw what else she was doing. And then Narcissus came up. I'm like, that's really funny because, we're talking about this whole idea of narcissism and who's narcissistic and how to solve narcissism and what a problem it is within our society today. And I just thought, oh, that's funny that I'm just coming across it at the same time. And it wasn't like a direct, um, something that was recommended to me directly. It was something that I came across and found and passed on. The other one was Iggy Pop, and I was watching some film, and then I heard The Passenger, which is a song I just love so much. And obviously, so many other people do because it was such a hit. And then of course I am such a passenger, it applies to me. But then I thought, you know what, I'm just going to look up Iggy Pop's name. And I stopped the film, looked up Iggy Pop's name, and he just released his music an hour previously. And I don't know what the feelings are that cause me to actually get to the point where I come across these things that seem so um, synchronous. Yeah, synchronous at the with my timeline, and and yeah, I just it's always a question of it's always a question that comes up in my mind, and then I go, right, I want to investigate that, and then I investigate it, and something random will come up. And then it was so that's all I know about the synchronicity. And I wanted to point out, I thought there were so many people last. I wanted to point out last time I was on this video YouTube session that there were so many people who, as a passenger, as a passive person, influenced my musical tastes just by being around them, and I completely left out an entire realm of people, and that would include Bill Nurshi and Nick Brutus, Mr. Law, the band and band instructor, well, choral instructor, And then there's of course Billy Carroll. Oh my gosh, my first boyfriend, and he introduced me to the Police, and he told me about Carl Jung, and he told me about synchronicity, and and he had music playing all the time because he was with this other guy who loved Ozzy Rizzo, and it's Ozzy Rizzo's birthday, and I was thinking about um, talking about this guy who loved Ozzy Rizzo so much, and I was thinking about it the other day, and then luckily Bill Coleman puts up that today is Ozzy Rizzo's birthday. So this guy who brought the speakers, they were just ginormous to the school. You know, let's see how so probably they were 3 feet tall. Yeah, 3 feet tall speakers. And I heard them constantly spilling the music out, and I was living in the room below. And I went up to investigate because the music was interesting, and um, and I wanted to see what was going on. So I go upstairs to this guy's room, and Billy Carroll's there, and Billy Carroll's his roommate, and Billy Carroll was in my English class, and then they introduced me to this guy who calls himself Ozzy because he just loves Ozzy Osbourne so much that he's renamed himself. I don't remember his actual name. I think it might have been Mike, but I remember his girlfriend's name, Carol, and they're from Queens, New York. And she came up and visited. I thought she's like a really cool girl, and I didn't get the link between the two of them, but they were so happy together. And that's how I got introduced to, say, those kind of genres of music and different genres of music. Then there was Martin Pizzarelli, and everybody made a big deal about him being in our school because his dad was Bucky Pizzarelli, and it was going to be one of those. He was going to play bass, and he really wanted to play with his brother John, and he did sometimes some gigs at weekends and in the summertime. So, Marist College was a big influence on me as far as music. So many people were so into their music, and I never met so many people absolutely passionate about music all in one place. Because I mean, Bill Nurshi and Nick Grudis, they loved music, and they used to play it over and over, and let Don Freiberger and I be the singers for some show we did for a talent show. And in the art class, Bill Nurshi would sit there and he would listen to a music and then replay the tape and replay the tape and replay the tape till he got all the lyrics down. He was just so intense about it. And those are the two things he did. He did music and art. He's a spectacular visual artist as well. I mean, you could really, really look at all his stuff for a very long time because it was dealing with nature, but just really beautiful, and a lot of detail in his work. So those are big musical influences for me, and I am so grateful to all of those people because otherwise I would not have been um, so aware of so many different musical genres. And Greg Hart also brought in all the Supremes, Diana Ross. And he constantly played Frank Sinatra, which my family listened to anyway. But Greg was the one who really liked that one, and Lou Reed was the one who Greg introduced me to because he liked the song about the transvestite changing on the way to from a hometown to New York City. Yeah, so these are all the people that influenced me a lot. And that's where I understood synchronicity from the Police song and Billy. But I can't answer your question or my question about how I can't answer my question about how I actually come across these pieces that seem so timely for me, and that are just uploaded within hours of when I actually find them. I really don't have any idea. So, and I haven't thought about it. Sorry, I've got something in my eye, and I haven't thought about it. um, before this because I would just go along according to how I felt. But now I'm starting to reflect on things since I've become enlightened and I'm investigating things. And it's the first time I've come across Buddhism, gone in depth into, say, Tashita Heaven. It's the first time. Sorry, I got to stop this. Oh, oh, I didn't end it. That's embarrassing. So I think nobody's watching anyway, and nobody really watches these, so it doesn't matter. But so I got so okay. So once I became enlightened, it was strange. For example, that my knee got hurt about 2 weeks later, and normally I would say that was really bad luck, but in fact maybe it wasn't such bad luck because it's made me slow down and made me really study things. And it's how I came across all those videos, Chinese videos about Tushita Heaven and the afterlife with Buddhism. It's how I came across regenerative agriculture because I went kind of in depth or down. I wouldn't say in depth. I won't say in depth. I'll say I went down the rabbit hole, and so I got to understand things that I hadn't previously understood, and it's introduced me to the doctor, and all these things evolved over time, and so now I'm sitting here going, wait, Karen, you shouldn't get nervous even though you shouldn't get nervous. You should just relax and flow with everything. And then that's what I'm trying to do. So today, for example, I probably was becoming asynchronous. I think that's the word, asynchronous with how I should be going because I started to get down and really trying to put off videotaping, going out to look for food because I want to do an Instagram picture. And when I start to avoid things, or when I start to settle in or get, kind of lazy, I'd have to say, then I think I'm going against a certain flow or dynamic that I'm meant to be following. And what's another thing I thought about the synchronicity? It happens more strongly when John's not here, when I'm on my own. Like I think Darren mentioned that who something about who is she when she's on her own, or you don't know yourself, or you're such a different person on your own, um, which is kind of true. I mean, when John's here, it keeps me focused on different things, and so I don't get that kind of high level of maybe synchronicity, or maybe even going too high and becoming disengaged from reality. And that's kind of a dangerous place for me to go because and for I think for anybody to go to, because what happens is you kind of lose your way, you get too high, you're not connecting with other people, and it's dangerous mentally to do that because although it gives you more answers you know it probably gives me more answers and allows me to see things, more things than I would normally see. It's also someplace that I need to stay lower from. I need to stay away from because if I don't stay away from it, I can make myself really unwell. And so, and Darren, I think he's one of those people that brings me up higher. And so being brought up that high was, and then being let go. I'm talking on the fly again, but being brought up that high and then being let go, I completely crashed and had no real references to reality on a daily basis. And yeah, so that's probably another good reason for Darren and I not to connect so much. But also, and it also shows me that maybe he brings me too high, and maybe I'm better on my own doing this, and then reconnecting with people in reality on a daily basis for the majority of the time. Um, I'm glad should probably look at this. This seems like a really confusing conversation. Um, and and yesterday I went to see Lama Sinha and David, and they had such a different reception for me than the last time I was there. Although the last time I was there was pretty manic, I think, possibly not manic, but really kind of wound up and too much. And also, I think I was in the middle of a depression and I wasn't connecting with people. And I argued with Lama and David about how they treated me when I was there because I thought they were not telling me the truth and being so secretive, and I didn't like it. Um, and I just thought, this is a totally unfair way of you guys behaving towards me because really I think that how I'm being treated is really unfair. So anyway, since that time, and I've developed and I've come across all these different avenues that I've explored, and I've gone back, and they were much more, uh, let's say, approachable. They were more approachable, and they were really nice to me, actually, like they used to be. Um, and Lama said, and this was the reason I brought them up. Mostly, Lama said they like when you're scared, Karen. They like when you're scared, and I don't know what that means. I guess people like that I'm scared, and like me to be. Well, I don't know. I don't like it when other people are scared, so I don't know why people would like it if I'm scared. But I guess it. I don't know what it means. I'll have to think about it more. But two people are watching this now. Oh no, God, I've made a mess, and two people watch this. But I'm going to end the stream because I don't really have all that much to say, and it's one of those things where I can't add any more, and I haven't really thought about anything for this week. Or maybe actually, I could say when I tweeted out about regenerative agriculture last week, I thought that was really important because it's something that there's so much nitrogen in and created or put into the soil by petrochemical industry fertilizers. That's one of the biggest problems we're having at the minute, and it causes so much pollution in the water streams as well. I thought that was a really important topic, and the guy Thomas Ripple just put everything together so well. And he has such an amazing background. He has economics. He can speak Chinese. He lived in China. He's actually been a farmer and helped to develop these systems. He does blockchain. I mean, the guy must be so bright. I'm not even envious, but I'm just glad that I came across him because he is a really important character for people to really recognize, since he knows so much and he has such a huge brain that can absorb all this detail and actually put it to use. So that was probably something that I'm glad happened last week, and it looked like, according to what Bill Coleman uploaded, but I'm kind of losing track now. I don't know what's happening with that. On that with his uploads, they're becoming a little bit different. They seem to be including Darren and maybe even the boys like Ryan and Sunny, and so the um, information load is expanding, and so it's a little bit harder for me to decipher. But last week it seemed as if the Thomas Ripple upload put everything into one discrete kind of video that said everything that I think, but said it in such an enormously intelligent and educated way that with with experience as well, that it was really useful for people. And so that was probably another synchronous point that people people could find useful. We could all find useful because yeah, regenerative agriculture is very, very key for our survival, human survival, Earth's survival as we know it. Yeah, yeah. Before it gets too far, we don't want to tip too far. It's really scary at the minute, but that's the end of the stream. I'm scared to look at this because it's been rambling so much. Sorry about that. Bye.